How you doing? I'm Brad and I'm going to talk to you about muscle loss during lockdown because nobody wants to lose their gains. First of all, I'm going to probably reassure you that you're not going to lose all your gains and all your progress. And then secondly, I'm going to talk to you about how you can prevent losing all your gains. Because probably quite a lot of you don't have the equipment that the gym has, so you're quite limited in terms of what you can do to maintain your gains. And that's why I'm here to talk to you about what you can do. So in terms of reassurance, if you follow these 4 things, you are going to lose little to no progress at all. The first thing you've got to do is train hard. Whether you're in the gym or training at home, you've still got to train hard. Obviously, if you're at home and you only have, like, say, 2 5-kilogram dumbbells or just your body weight or resistance bands, obviously it's going to be difficult to reach the intensity you reach in the gym. So obviously it's going to be difficult, but later on in the video I'm going to talk to you about how you can make training harder with limited equipment, so stick around for it. Secondly, eat enough protein. Eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Unless you're quite overweight, then obviously you don't need to consume as much, but 1 gram per pound is a good rule of thumb. Thirdly, get enough sleep. I think this is something that's neglected by quite a lot of people. It is super important, so make sure you're sleeping enough. And the 4th thing, which is like the most important thing, so prior to lockdown, a lot of you may have been in a bulking phase or a cutting phase, and the reason I would say to put that to a halt is literally because if you're in a gaining phase, giving your body extra calories, meaning you're in a calorie surplus, your body is then going to use them calories to either help build new muscle, or it will either go into fat stores and you'll gain body fat. And when you're at home and you're training at home with limited equipment, you're not going to be able to put the same amount of stimulus as you could on the muscles when you were in the gym. So if you're not putting more stimulus on the muscles in order for them to grow, you're not going to put on muscle, you're literally just going to gain more body fat. So I would really strongly advise not being in a surplus unless you've got like a really sick home gym. And the same applies if you're in a cutting phase. So me, for example, I was in a cut, I was 8 weeks in, I was about 15 pounds down. It was going honestly so well, and I've had to put that to a stop. The reason being, if I'm at home and not training with the same equipment and not able to put the same stimulus as I could on the muscles as when I was in the gym, my body is going to start burning through lean body mass as well as body fat. So if I lose, say, a pound of body weight, half of that is muscle, half of that is fat, my body composition isn't going to improve. I'm just going to look maybe a little bit leaner, but look like I'm not holding as much muscle, and that's not the goal. So I'm eating at maintenance. You've got to kind of change your perspective of where we are in this situation. Things right now is not ideal. I think you've just got to think that when gyms aren't open, maintaining where you're at is progress. Before I talk about how you can adapt the situation with, say, the limited equipment you've got and how to train to prevent muscle loss from happening, I'm just going to reassure people. Let's say, for example, you fell off and you've stopped training and you've lost some progress. There's something called muscle memory, and it's absolutely legit. When you stop training and your muscles get smaller, that is something called atrophy, right? And in your muscle cells, there's things called myonuclei. And what happens is when your muscles get smaller, the myonuclei in the cell are still there. They've just shrunk. So when you get back training, it will take you nowhere near as long to regain the size in comparison of how long it took you to get there in the first place. Another thing to mention is in terms of strength, when you get back in the gym, even if you've lost no muscle mass whatsoever, it's likely that you're not going to be as strong as when you were prior to the lockdown, and it's nothing to worry about. Just neurological factors will play a big role in this, so don't stress about it. I remember after the first lockdown, I lost some deadlift strength. I was doing like 190 kilos for sets of 5 or 6, and then I came back and like 170 felt heavy, but then within like two weeks, I think that's like 3 deadlift sessions, all my strength was back. So it's honestly not worth stressing about. Anyway, now I'm going to talk to you about how you can adapt the situation and make your sessions harder by using different intensity methods. Regardless of whatever equipment you've got, these 12 tips are going to help prevent you from losing muscle mass. So the first one is an obvious one, so increasing the reps per set and increasing the number of sets for each session. The reason being, if you kept the reps and the sets the same, but you don't have as much weight that you did have in the gym, obviously your total volume is going to be less. That is not going to help prevent you from losing muscle mass. So yeah, increase the reps, increase the sets. The second thing you can do to increase the intensity for your session is decrease the rest times between sets. Third thing you can do is include pause reps. People underestimate how much harder a pause rep makes an exercise. Like, do a push-up, like with normal tempo, and then like implement a pause rep, I guarantee the amount of reps you get is significantly lower. Another thing you can do is focus on eccentric training. So on the negative portion of the rep, instead of doing like a 1 to 2 second eccentric, do a 3 or 4 second, and that's going to make things a lot harder. What you can do is implement eccentrics and pause reps in the same set, and yeah, it makes it a hell of a lot harder. More intensity methods you can add to your training is constant tension set. So quite self-explanatory, but keep constant tension on the muscle throughout the whole set. So instead of having like micro breaks at the top of each rep, don't allow yourself to do that and get straight back into the next rep. Pre-exhaustion is another thing you can do. So for example, when you're training chest, instead of going straight into your compound movement first, do an isolation movement, for example, a dumbbell chest fly, and then do, say, your decline push-ups. What that chest fly is going to do, it's going to fatigue your chest. So when you go into your decline push-ups, it's going to feel a hell of a lot harder and you'll reach muscular failure a lot quicker. Partial reps is another good way to increase the intensity. So when doing a movement, for example, lateral raises, when going through a full range of motion, at some point you will hit muscular failure, but you'll still be able to get a little bit more out of like the bottom portion of the rep. Another few intensity methods you can use is drop sets, supersets, and giant sets. So to explain to the people that don't know what a drop set is, basically, for example, you're doing some bicep curls with 20 kilos, you hit failure, and then you go straight into 10 kilos and reach failure again. That's a drop set. A superset is doing, say, one exercise and you hit failure and then go into another exercise. That doesn't necessarily have to be the same muscle group, although that is quite effective when you're trying to really hammer one muscle group. The other one is a giant set, so similar to a superset, but instead of doing just 2 exercises, you use like 3 or 4. So for example, for the triceps, you could do a close grip bench press, then you could do a dumbbell skull crusher, and then you could do like a banded push down. The last tip I would advise you doing is doing unilateral exercises. So if you don't know what that means, it's basically working one limb at a time. So instead of doing a squat, a goblet squat, do say lunges or split squats. Putting the same resistance of your body weight through one limb in comparison to 2 is obviously going to be a lot harder, so don't neglect your unilateral exercises. Actually, one more thing I want to say, that isn't my last tip, but say you only have bands or light dumbbells. People think that that's the only thing they've got. You've got your body weight. There's a lot of things you can do with your body weight that could probably challenge your muscle groups a lot better than, say, a pair of 5 kilogram dumbbells. So with your pressing movements, you can do push-ups. With your pulling movements, inverted rows, pull-ups. Movements for your legs, you can do lunges, split squats. So just don't underestimate what you can do with your body weight. Just look at gymnasts, people that are into calisthenics. They've got like some really good physiques where they don't even lift weights. So something to bear in mind. That is a wrap, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something and you are reassured that lockdown isn't actually going to be as detrimental to your progress as you think. And if you didn't learn anything, then hopefully it just passed 5 minutes at work when you're bored or something. Who knows, whatever. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, drop this video a like, and if you're new, remember to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support from everyone that's already subscribed to the channel. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.